So, just looking at some lures, big lures, real big lures. These ones I used to use years ago. I think that one was last bass. It took me about £8 that one, but there hasn't been any big bass for a long time. I'm actually waiting on a well, there's a storm coming. I say a storm, force 7 winds. I can actually hear the ocean from here, even though it's flat calm. You can hear the roll of the ocean with the approaching winds and that. Anyway, this video is kind of an unscheduled one. It's just a little extra video I thought I'd throw up. I went down the beach one morning to basically get some prawns for the lobster tank. And that's what it is. It's basically me going down the beach, getting some prawns with a prawn net or shrimp net. Well, I'm just going down the beach. I'm going to have a look for, well, I've got my little net with me and that. But I'm going to go and look for, just have a quick look around, see if there's any prawns again. I'm going to go over there. The tides are very, very small, so we're not going to get down to deep areas where we find some possibly bigger prawns, but we might find a few in the pools. And might look for a bit of crab for the prawn pot. I'll go for a mooch over here because there's a lot of pools and water around here. Let's set up our net. I'm not going to bother with harnesses and all that sort of stuff because it shakes too much. It's quite useful when you're travelling distance and that. Okay, got our net. You can also make double the length of this almost and make a really long net. This handle's actually off a landing net from about 1980 or something. It's quite heavy, but it's lasted the test of time. The idea is we just have a sort of scoop around in here. There's a baby one. So we'll go a bit further over. We'll try around here. People be asking me like, what do you do when you're not fishing? I go messing around with nets and pools. Wow, lots of small ones. I mean tiddlers. I really want to find big ones. I'll show you in a minute. I used to love doing this as a kid. And then taking prawns home to cook them up. Which is the best part. Yeah, like I say again, most of these will be little. Now I want to get some because I want to collect some for the lobster tank because they'll help to keep the lobster tank clear. So let's have a look. Probably best if I show you like this. And there you go, there's a little wrasse there. Oh, little ballon wrasse by the looks of it. Yep. So let's put him back. Oh, I don't drop him. Yep. Right. Back he goes. Straight into the weed. And then you see here we've got loads and loads of tiny prawns. Now I'd rather get bigger ones. There's actually a tiny fish in there as well. What kind of fish? No idea. There's little tiny ones that live in the pools. Put that back. Anyway, he's off. Yeah, so there's your typical prawn, but a very, very small one. In fact, he's got stripy legs, that one. I'm going to put a bit of water in. I'll take a couple of these. Now I've got a little pot in there as well. That'll be for worm if I collect any worm. That's kind of it. Let's go exploring a bit more. Got a lot of little periwinkles and that in there as well. It's come off the weed when you scoop the weed. Yeah, like I say, a lot of this water sort of drains out, although some areas it stays in. Further out in the rocks over there, there are some deeper pools, but do I want to walk all the way out there? Haven't Haven't decided yet. We'll just look around here, see what we can find first. There's fish down there. Something's been digging up the ground there. Interesting. Looks like a lobster's dug it up to dig the rocks out as well. Like I say, today's low tide is like it's tiny. It's like 4 meters or something. So there's literally a tidal difference of about 2 meters today. It's tiny little tide. Not great for hunting for stuff. It'd be better on the big spring tides, but it doesn't matter. Because you want a bit of depth in your pool to be able to find stuff. There's a bit of depth down there, but it's not great cover. Scoop the whole weed up. Take the weed out. One shrimp. Prawn. If you keep hearing me call them shrimps, it's because that's what we used to call them. Even though they're prawns, we just call them shrimps most of the time. You can try by that rock. Sometimes by big rocks, prawns and things live. Bigger ones, they hide under the rock. It's catching them's the problem. Oh, got a slightly bigger one. Or maybe not. No, they're just little ones again. Okay. If these were all nice and big, we'd be getting a nice feed in there by now. Right, let's go and explore a bit more. Like I say, for the tank I only need a dozen, not even that. Get away with 6 or 7. What they do is they clean the lobsters. When you bring the lobsters in, all the any bits of weed or things growing on the lobster, they'll come over and start picking them off. They also help to keep the tank clear. Now I changed the water the other day because I had a bit of a problem with the water, and if I'd had the prawns in there, that possibly wouldn't have happened. They're also an early warning signal because they start to get very erratic if the water starts going wrong, long before it's gone wrong, sort of thing. So the trouble with trying to scoop in this pond is it's full of broken weed, so we just get net loads of weed. Plus broken weed areas aren't great because the water can get a bit nasty with the weed decaying in the ponds. So we'll skip past this bit. See there? Let me just grab it. Oyster. It's a big old oyster. The thing is with these oysters that you see here, these they have like oyster farms where they put them in racks, and these are basically escapees that come off the racks. You get the odd little oysters that clamp onto the odd rock here and there in crevices and that. They're just like a little white patch, but we don't really get oysters more than that because we get such a heavy swell, storms and all that. They don't survive here basically. So whenever you find them, in most cases around the island, it's ones that have escaped from the farms, like the little farmy things that they have around. Like I say, you will get the odd small one clamped to rocks, but they don't tend to grow very well or necessarily get that big. Slightly better size, but still not big. Still only small. Let's have a look. See them in here. There's one there. It would be alright for the tank. And there was another one here. I know this one here's got this one's full of eggs. I'm going to throw this one back. We won't take that. Not another one that's not too bad. Like I say, they're not big, but you watch them in the tank. When you put them in the tank, they'll grow up. The last ones I had in there ended up being as big as the ones you'd eat. Obviously I didn't eat them, but like I say, they did get pretty big. Ooh, we got fish. It's crazy. I'm here to try and get some prawns and that, and there's me getting all excited about catching a little wrasse. It's fascinating though, the species and that you get. And I mean, if you've ever been snorkeling or diving, it's a whole new world down there. I remember I used to go snorkeling a lot, and I wouldn't go for a while, then I'd get in the water and yeah, I'd get in the water, and then the next day I'd be going every single day then, until I got tired of it, or just basically the tides were no good. They are getting bigger, but not by much. Again, something like that, you see, wouldn't get out, well, I don't think it would get out of the prawn pot. It might have done the other day because I've fixed that opening on it. But something like that, whereas something like that will still get through the net on the prawn pot. So we're not going to see these tiny ones anyway. Like that, they'll go straight for the net. Right, let's get these back. Again, just small prawns. Pop back in. Right. Let's try in the ocean. Now, quite often the best time to catch prawns in the ocean, sort of thing, is actually when the tide's starting to come back in. You'll see them moving up with the tide. Trouble is, you don't get very long because they'll only move up so far or into the weed and that, and then the tide's too high. So we got half a dozen, well, what have we got? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 prawns, and little ones, but I'm going to put them in the tank. I could just tip them in, but I don't want to tip. The water looks a bit dirty, so try and keep my tank clean as possible. Put a couple straight into the tank. And on today's menu for the prawns, lobster poop. Did you see that? I'm sure that prawn rubbed his claws together when I said that. Right, delicious. There he is. He's walking over the lobster already. Maybe he hasn't figured out he's on top of a lobster. The lobsters don't bother him. Sometimes the lobsters try and sort of swish at him a bit, but like I say, they do clean the lobsters, and they'll eat their crap and all that sort of stuff. All that good stuff, you know. And it helps to break down everything, which then goes through all the filters, and you know, just whole biosystem going on here. Temperature of the tank, so that's, it says 16.4, but it fluctuates. So it's, as long as it's down around 16, that's fine. When it's 30 odd degrees, I do like to keep it a little lower, but as long as it doesn't go over 20, we're good.